when you're getting ready for a meet, the first meet is going to be this weekend at Friday and Saturday in the pool here at Shippensburg Fieldhouse. Just more of a curiosity thing, maybe more than anything else, but to get ready for a meet, you do all the training over the course of the week and through the preseason, but then when you get to a meet day, I imagine it's fun just the fact you actually get to compete and not have to just train, but preparation-wise, when you're getting ready for the meet, do you do anything together as a team? Is there anything specific that you do, or is it just a case where you're an individual swimmer, you're getting ready knowing what you have to swim on a given day, and whether it's get music on the iPod or whatever it is there anything specific, Tyler, that the swimmers motivates them to get ready?
It definitely is. There's a little bit of both. It's definitely an individual sport, but also at the same time it is a team sport. As far as team goes, you're there to motivate each other. You got to make sure you're doing the right thing, and you got to make sure you're actually pumped for that swim or that meet. And but other than that, it is an individual sport. I mean, there's going to be people that want to go and listen to their iPod right before a race, and they don't want to be involved with everyone on the team at once. They like to get in their mode, I guess you can say, and just try to swim as fast as possible.
Now, one of the other things is the season sort of has its ebbs and flows. It's a long season in the sense that you've started before really everybody else. I mean, right when everybody else starts in the fall, you're training. You have a couple of important meets going on right now, especially in November, but then you sort of have the holiday break, and then you have to get ready for PSACs. What are sort of the goals you want to accomplish in the early months, and are they necessarily any different from what you look to achieve after Christmas, heading into PSACs later on in the semester?
I think a lot of the goals that we try to accomplish early on is getting those PSAC cuts and getting to a point where if we haven't gotten them before we go to our big meet down at George Mason, that by the time we get there we are ready and can swim to obtain those times and those goals. And then after winter training and going through all of that in January and February, it's more just the push to get as fast as you can by the time we go to PSACs and really perform at your top effort. Almost
safe to say two different types of fast in a way, maybe?
Yes, that's the perfect way to explain it.
Okay. And Tyler, it's obvious that the goal is to perform well at PSACs at the end of the year and to seek personal bests as well in the process of doing so. But what really will it take during the regular season to put the swimmers in position to accomplish those goals that you want to get to by the end of the year? What types of things do you think it'll take?
Yeah, I mean, I know for, I guess as even both teams, we've lost several talented swimmers every single year, and I think one huge achievement for us, and I guess we can go back to the last question kind of, what would be like positive these next couple months was to just try to make sure everyone's committed and we'll stay till the end of the year. We can't afford to lose a talented swimmer. I mean, we only have, I think, 20 guys. I don't know how many girls there are, but it's very limited. And that's, I mean, the hard work's going to come. I think being a college swimmer, you have to put in the hard work to do those times. But for a team aspect, if we can go to the end of the meet end of the year with all our swimmers, it's really going to benefit, and that's going to be a great achievement for us.
And then sort of compounding back to the beginning of what we talked about a little bit, the fact that you're coming together to now as a group and hoping to continue that bond and that camaraderie from the beginning of the year, really almost all the way through to the end of the year. You're all in it together, and I imagine that that'll help sort of maybe from a motivational standpoint too, that you're all pushing each other to try to get to that point.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, pretty much like you said, I mean, you need that bond and you're going to motivate each other. So I hope everyone stays, and I hope we can make it to the end of the year. And that goes back to, I guess, our senior leadership. Hopefully we can, I mean, all the seniors, hopefully we can come together and make it fun for everyone.
Appreciate you both taking the time to join us here today. We're going to take a little bit of a break, and when we come back, we're going to have the head coach of SU men's and women's swimming, Tim Verge, join us for a couple of questions as well. Welcome back to ShipRaiders.com. As we take a closer look at the SU men's and women's swim teams for 2014 and 15, we're now joined by the head coach of both programs, and that's Tim Verge. Tim, thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. Want to ask you a little bit about each team, sort of, and how things have been going in the preseason, and then we'll get into some goals for the season as well. But as sort of Jen and Tyler touched on a little bit, there's a fair bit of young talent on the teams in terms of new freshmen that have joined each of your program. And You have, I believe, a 20-man men's roster,
Right.
17 on the women's roster. Could you talk a little bit about how those rosters are coming together and
Sure.
how they're sort of camaraderie-wise, how that's working so far?
Yeah, it's a big class. I think between the two are about 15, and they're really doing a great job. I mean, they really are. Sometimes when you got that many people, you worry about the acclimation, whether it's being away from home or the academics or, kind of the whole mix. And they've really kind of done a great job. We lost a few people, a couple of the freshmen. But you always have a little bit of attrition at the beginning of the year. And this group's really doing a good job. They're training very, very well. I've been really impressed with that. Some of them come from some programs where they're used to that kind of work, but a few of them don't. And they've really handled it pretty well, I think, for some of the things we've asked them to do this early. And I think, as Jen mentioned, I think our returning people are doing a really good job of kind of bringing them into the fold and letting them know what the expectations are and, kind of how we do things. And it's really seemed to be going pretty good right now.
And part of it, I imagine, when you have a young group of swimmers is that you make that transition from the high school workload to the collegiate workload. And you do a lot of training in the preseason. And whether it's in the pool, outside of the pool, various types of training that you do. Could you talk a little bit about how you've worked them thus far and to get them ready for the early couple of meets here in the season, and whether in or out of the pool, what all everybody's doing
Sure,
right now?
yeah. I think we've done some good work this year. We did a little bit more running, I think, than we did last year outside. Last year the weather sort of played havoc with us now and then. Some days we wanted to run, so we got them out and did some things this year, which is just kind of fun because once the season really gets going, you're just in the pool kind of the whole time, and it's really difficult to get out, so it's a nice break. And we've got a great group that's been working with us doing CrossFit in the morning, as Jen said, and the team's really enjoyed that tremendously. And I think we were stronger last year than we've been in a while, and I think just their efforts and how they're approaching that stuff has been better than it is. And I think it's really good this year because we've got the returners who kind of know what's going on, and they've been able to sort of challenge the freshmen down there a little bit. And so we're off to a good start. And we've like I said, 2 weeks, and we get rolling, and we'll kind of see how that unfolds.
And it'll be exciting to see when they take to the pool here for Southern Connecticut and Westchester coming in. It's always a nice environment to have everybody in the pool, and that first action of the season is always enjoyable. But what are some of the things that you want to see out of the swimmers early on there, and then a couple of the, as the month progresses, there's the meets away, IUP, I believe, and a couple other places. But what are some of the things you want to see out of the swimmers early on in order to get ready for those big meets in November and that early half of the season?
Well, I think the biggest thing we look for are technique type things, and how well we're turning, how well we're starting, and kind of our strategy stuff. I think that times aren't too critical right now. I know we're in a heavy workload, as most teams are, and stuff. And so I know when we rest in November a little bit, that type of thing will come. The speed and stuff will come, but the techniques, it's a little harder to refine those kind of spot last second there. And so we want to make sure that we're doing those little things really well early on. And just kind of the general attitude is fun to watch the freshmen adjust and, see how they approach their racing and, those sorts of things. And so, with a big group like that, I mean, there'll be a lot to keep an eye on, and, we'll see how we stack up.
As sort of we alluded to a little bit with Jen and with Tyler earlier, in a way it's almost the two different types of fast in the sense of, like, he mentioned getting the cuts and the times that you want to get at the Mason meet and at the other meet later on,
up at Ithaca, right.
Yes, and then you have those times. You have sort of the goal that you've worked toward, and then you want to get to it by PSACs. Is that a fair way, though, to describe it in terms of two different types of fast, two different kinds of fast at different times of the season?
I think so. We kind of break it down into two different segments, sort of, and I think in the fall, it's very realistic to go lifetime bests at those meets, and I think that's what a lot of people shoot for. And then the idea is obviously to try to go faster in the spring with that, a little bit more work behind you. So, but the George Mason meet, there's a little bigger training gap, from when we start to that meet than there is, coming out of that meet and into the conference meet, especially with break. It makes it a little bit easier over the holiday break. And so, I think everybody gets really, really excited to go down there and kind of get after it after, 2.5 months of pretty good work. It's just, it's a great atmosphere, and, knock on wood. We've never not swum well there. I mean, we've really gone down there and just done a tremendous job. And so, you know, that's what the expectation is. And I think that in and of itself has kind of driven them, you know, to go down there and know they're going to swim well. And, you know, sometimes we just kind of walk in there and it's a great environment.
From that standpoint, maybe those performances help set the tone for later on.
Right.
But when it gets down to it at the end of the year and you know that what you want to accomplish and achieve at the PSACs, from a time standpoint, a technique standpoint, that's all there. But is there anything ancillary or just from a motivational standpoint that to accomplish what we want to accomplish, to get to where we want to get to,
right.
Is there anything specific you stress to them either as a coach or that you just want to make sure that they're aware of that in order to get where you need to get to? You got to be doing X, Y, Z, or
right.
whatever that might be.
Well, I mean, we talk about that all the time. You know, I mean, we talk about, you know, laying out a plan, and, you know, it's one thing to talk about goals, and it's another thing to really kind of do the things you need to do to make them happen. And, you know, for us, I mean, you know, I think ancillary stuff, you know, on the men's side, certainly, you know, we've been the last couple of years. And so, you know, that's motivation enough just for us to kind of go in with a little bit of a chip and, you know, kind of move forward with some things. So, you know, they're a pretty excited group, and, you know, I think if we, you know, kind of stay the course and do the things we're doing, we'll be in good shape. I think we've improved ourselves, and the guys we have always swum well there. We just needed to improve some things in depth and stuff like that, which we've done, and the women certainly the same thing. So I think we'll be in a good situation. It'll be a lot of fun.
And it'll certainly be an exciting opportunity when we get to see the swimmers here this weekend as we go into Donnie Miller Pool at Higas Fieldhouse Friday night. It's a 2-day meet, it actually is. It starts Friday night and then continues on Saturday morning. And actually, it's only one of 2 chances, I think, for the whole season.
Right.
That SU has a home swim meet. There's another one early in 2015. But we encourage you to come out and support the swimmers this weekend. And thank you for taking the time to visit us here at ShipRaiders.com. And for more information on all 20 intercollegiate athletic teams at Ship, be sure to check out ShipRaiders.com. And thanks for taking the time to join us. And Tim, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.